Hello and welcome to Chess with Ivan. I am going to show you in this video the most incredible and mind-blowing, as I called it here, stalemate situations I have ever come across in chess. And if you're relatively new to chess, this video will probably be quite advanced. I would call it intermediate level, but I will try and do my best at explaining what's going on here and why it is indeed so amazing. So when you look at a position that looks quite complicated like that, you first need to see which side has more what's called material, so more pieces in total. And here basically white and black have almost the same amount. They have two rooks each, a queen each, a bishop and a knight, which is the same basically as two bishops in broadest possible terms, and white has one pawn less than black, 6 versus 5. So overall it doesn't look like white is in a really bad position, but then you need to also see relatively where these pieces are on the board, and that's when things start looking very sketchy for white. First thing is your king safe? That's the most important thing in chess. And white's king is not very safe because it is very easy to checkmate it if you could land that queen here as black, if it has some sort of support in order to get there. If it just came here now, obviously white will take it. But because black can easily jump over here, this bishop plus this queen are staring at g2, and there is no piece in the white arsenal that can defend that square. So white is in big trouble and is basically should be losing the game. However, the player in white, Alexey Troitsky, which is a Russian chess player known very well for creating like positions like puzzles, chess, interesting miniatures and situations, found an ingenious way to save himself. He played a move that looks like is not threatening much, which is rook from c1 to d1. Now, at this point, white is still losing. Like, if black plays good moves, there is no way white can save this position. But it's not that clear why this move makes any sense. Because of that, because of the lack of a good threat from this move, black, which was also a very good player at the time, goes straight for the checkmate plan and plays bishop to h3, wanting to threaten checkmate. So that move was played on the board, and this is when the game, which looks totally lost for white, actually is a draw on account of the next moves. So let's see what happens. First of all, Troitsky played rook takes the rook on d8, giving a check to the black king. And the only possible move for black is to take back the rook. And then Troitsky plays this move, which seems totally crazy. So he's checking the black king with their queen and also attacking the black queen. So if black for some reason didn't take back the queen with their queen, but moved the king, let's say here, white would take that queen, and now white is in the driving seat. Like now, if you do the analysis of who has what pieces, white is clearly winning because they have a queen, and all of a sudden black doesn't really have any threats, so white will find time to develop that rook which is stuck in the corner at the moment and do some damage. Because of that, pretty much black is forced to take the queen to not lose the game, and here is where the fun happens. By taking that queen, actually this position is stalemate, which is completely crazy because there are like almost 20 pieces on the board, and normally stalemate occurs when there is only like two kings and one player kind of carelessly manages to not win the game. At least that's what happens in when regular players play chess. But Troitsky saw that even though he has a lot of pieces, none of them can move. So these pawns cannot move because they move forward and they're blocked by another piece. This rook is in the corner, so both forwards and sideways is blocked by their own pieces, the king and the pawn. Then the king itself cannot move because of several squares are blocked by their own pieces, but also g2 and f1 are covered by this bishop. Now comes the interesting bit. This bishop cannot move because if it moved, the queen would take the king. So that is not allowed in chess. This knight, similarly, cannot move because knights move not forward. So if it moved anywhere, then this rook would take the king again. Take the king, I say, because in chess you don't do that. You're just not allowed to do a move where you lose your king. And finally, this little pawn here, for the same reason, cannot allow this bishop to attack the king, so it can't move forward. So none of these moves are allowed, and all of a sudden black, which has so much power in this position, so many more strong pieces, like an active queen and a rook that's actually doing something, has to settle for a draw, which is what stalemate is. I personally have never seen a stalemate with 9 pieces on the board, and such activity in general, like sometimes there is a lot of pawns that are blocked, but when you have a bishop, a knight and a rook, I think it's extremely rare to get stalemate. And especially to come up with this ingenious solution where when pretty much whatever you play here, black can either execute their plan to give you a checkmate, or they can start taking your pieces. Like this pawn can start being taken, black can move their rook to this rank and create a lot more threats for white around their king. So pretty much anything black plays sorry, should be a win for them. Here black should not fall for the easy sort of move, which is what they played in the game, but they should either, for example, prevent that rook from being able to give a check by moving their rook and blocking that file. So on the D file or D line, that rook is not doing anything, but by black moving their bishop to h3, they allowed this whole stalemate situation to happen. Instead, black should block further, and if, for example, white takes here, now going with the bishop here is a good idea, because the same situation would appear, but this time if you dare to do this, which is exactly replaying the moves that you saw before, that rook has sacrificed itself, so this knight is no longer trapped. So now, unfortunately for white, they still can't make any moves with any of their pieces apart from that knight, but since they have to move the knight, unfortunately the game will continue. It won't be stalemate, so the queen will later take that bishop, it can go back and give a checkmate. Basically, as white, you're going to lose this game. And then an alternative to that move would be just to move your rook over. Now, if white wanted to come here to give you a check by which this rook earlier was sacrificed, you don't have to take the same way, and also your bishop hasn't moved yet, so this idea in the first place is not possible. Here the computer actually suggests just give up your rook. That's how desperate white's position is. Yeah, I mean, I think it's quite interesting how there were so many pieces on the board and white still managed, I'm replaying the original moves now, still managed to achieve a very funny stalemate. So I hope that was instructive and interesting. I know there was quite a lot going on, but let me know if you found a more interesting stalemate than that. I was very surprised that this video wasn't covered by a lot of people. Just the channel Chess with Suren, which is a pretty nice channel about chess, I saw it was covered, but only in a couple of minutes, so I thought that beginners won't be able to know what's going on. Still, hope that was useful. If you haven't yet, please subscribe and let me know what you thought of this crazy stalemate. Thanks, guys.